Thank you all for joining us this evening. Time is 5:36 in the evening. Today is the 10th of April, 2023. I'd like to call to order our regularly scheduled Middleton Planning and Zoning meeting. My name is Heidel Summers, and I'm the Planning and Zoning Chairman. And if everybody would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, would the Deputy Clerk please do the roll call of the Commissioners?
Chairman Summers,
Present.
Vice Chair Christiansen,
Present.
Commissioner Cross,
Present.
Commissioner Tremble,
Present.
Commissioner Watkins.
Present.
Thank you. Okay, so our first action item that we have this evening is we need to consider approving the minutes for the March 13th, 2023 regular meeting. Anybody see anything that needs to be changed in that?
I did not see anything that I
Nope, not me.
Okay, I'll take a motion.
I enter a motion to accept the consent agenda, item 1A on the agenda.
A second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, so we've got a motion by Chris Jansen and a second by Crofts to approve the minutes for the March 13th, 2023 regular meeting. And we take a vote on that.
Yeah, you need to take a vote on
Just all in
to
favor
approve
say aye.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, so that is approved. Moving on, we have item number 2 on our action items on the agenda this evening is a public hearing. It's an application by Firaha A. Bonin for a special use permit to operate a licensed daycare center from her home located at 105 East Rose Lake Drive, Middleton, Idaho in the Middleton Lake subdivision. Their operation will provide daycare for up to 13 children that are unrelated to Ms. Bonin. The hours of operation will be from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. And Roberta will be hearing this tonight.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. But before I dive in, they had some homework to do with the fire department before we could really make a good decision tonight. And they had ample time to do it. And I asked them, I gave them a deadline, and they haven't done it. And so I'm inclined to just move forward with the hearing tonight. I'm just going to pretty much paraphrase my staff report, short and sweet. But you can table this and give them another 30 days to try to put together inspection if you're so inclined. But now you've tabled it. We tabled it twice where our legal notice is getting protracted. But you can do that.
So if we table it, then would we have to notice it again or no?
I would not have to notice it
Okay.
again. But people will begin to kind of lose track of what's going on because nothing's coming in the mail.
Okay.
Since it's been tabled twice, that's 2 months. Or we move forward tonight and depending on what happens, they can apply again or you can approve it or...
Do we
Okay.
put a stipulation 30 days? Because if it rolls on and on and on, if we do a hearing tonight, we might forget, or not forget, but lose sight of what's been discussed. Or
Well,
there may
no,
be
either
changes.
we table now, we all go home and have dinner,
Okay.
or we dive in and make a decision,
Oh, okay.
and it's done.
Okay.
And the special use permit, we are approving.
It's,
This
you're the
stops here.
final body.
Okay. Commission, should we take like a vote on what we do, or?
Yeah, I think you should take a vote. and decide, do you want to hear this tonight, and, or do you feel it's okay to table it and give them another shot at it?
Can we ask questions without having it be a
No,
formal?
we need to either open this thing,
Okay.
table it or open it.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody have any ideas what you want to do?
If we do it tonight, could we make it a provision based on passing fire inspection?
I think so, that might be an option. I mean, as we get into it, you might find, I'm inclined to move forward and then see what the options are. And maybe that is one of the options.
Are the applicants here tonight?
What was that? Yeah,
Okay.
the applicant is here.
Okay.
And if we move forward and we do deny, they can reapply. Is there
They
a
can
stipulation on
reapply
time?
once they do their homework.
Okay, okay.
Okay. Is it a big ordeal to reapply?
No, just have to start from scratch again.
Okay. And like do the notice,
Mhm,
all that?
yes.
Okay, so commission, what do we think? Are you gonna move forward and hear it?
I think if the only thing holding us back is the fire inspection, if we
Okay.
take Commissioner Trumbull's suggestion
Okay.
and make that a stipulation that it is granted based on this, whatever the fire inspection or fire code is.
Okay, are we unanimous with that? Okay,
Yes.
all right, let's go ahead and move forward.
All
So we
right.
open the public hearing
Open the
now?
public hearing.
Okay, then we will open this public hearing at 5:42 a.m. Roberta, what do you have for us?
5:42 a.m.
I mean, sorry, 5:42 p.m.
I don't get up that early anyway.
I did, unfortunately, that's probably why I said AM, but.
All right, so this is the staff report that was attached to the agenda, and it was also put in your links and drop boxes. So this is the home, just for visual. The location is, it's Middleton Lakes subdivision. So Middleton Road is to the northeast, Sawtooth Lakes Drive is ribbons its way through this subdivision. And you can see the little star up there and the arrow.
Oh.
So this is an application already read by Faraha Bonain at 105 East Rose Lake Drive. That is their home. Applicant is requesting a permit to care for up to 13 children, ages newborn to 13 years old. Applicant has 4 other children living in the home that are related to them. Their ages are 17, 15, 13, and 7 years old. Ms. Bonain will be the only care provider. There will be no additional employees. The home, as far as I can tell, from some things that were sent to me, is about 5,500 square feet, not including the garage. The proposed daycare hours are 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. The applicant will be responsible for picking up and dropping off the 13 children. I just don't know how that would work. I would highly recommend council or commissioners dive into how that's going to work, or if the parents are dropping off, how's that going to work? Applicant also will use a nearby subdivision park, and you can see on the picture there, it's about one house down. So the problem really is this, they need to have an inspection by fire, and I think they also have to have an inspection by the Southwest Department of Environmental Quality, and they come in and they look at the square footage and they figure out how many children they actually can have. And that's your problem tonight. You don't really know how many children they can have, so it's hard to make a decision without knowing that. So the Victor Eastless, he's fire marshal, has reached out to them multiple times and actually prompted them to please, set up an appointment, and they did not, so he couldn't help them. Okay. So the current zoning is R3, single-family residential. There's only a single-family home on the lot. It's surrounded by other R3 zoning on all 4 sides, single-family homes on all 4 sides. City services are already located, so sewer, water, police, fire are already servicing the site. Traffic access and streets, I think we need to figure out from the applicant tonight how they intend to have the traffic flow or pick up, that kind of thing. That may be an issue. So when you have a special use permit in front of you, you're basically, I put the code into the staff report, and hopefully you had a chance to review the code, but basically you're saying, is this use in this neighborhood compatible with the use? Is it in harmony? You also have to make sure that it's on the land use schedule, which it is. So we met those two things. And that's up to you to listen to the applicant and decide, is this a harmonious use of the property? Okay, and you can also add, if you approve the special use permit, you can add lots of conditions that would make it a harmonious. You have a lot of latitude in what you need to do. You can say the permit is only for such and such length of time, or certain hours, or this many children, or whatever. So a lot of latitude there. And if you look up on the board there, the code requires you to recognize whether daycare with 13 or more children is, see the little S under R3, my little cursor's kind of moving around there. So it is on a land use schedule, and that is a requirement. There were no comments received from landowners. I did receive a telephone call from somebody. They didn't want to submit any writings, but they didn't think it was appropriate in the neighborhood, but they just only wanted to orally state their comments on the phone to me. Comments from agencies, there were none other than Fire Marshal Eastless talking to me saying his inability to have an in-home inspection, so he cannot say under Idaho state rules, which are called IDAPA rules, how many children they can actually have. He can't declare that. There was no need to have comments by staff or city engineer. The applicant information is up on the screen. Notice was properly given in February. It was tabled once. And so there's a little bit of time between notice. Applicable codes and standards are up on the screen. So, Planning and Zoning Commission will make the final decision and order on this application. It does not proceed to City Council for consideration. Per state law in the Middleton City Code, any final order must be based upon findings of facts and conclusions of law. Planning staff has set forth above the facts to be considered in the application. Planning staff further finds that the city does not know if allowing 13 children in the daycare will be in compliance with state code, because applicant did not schedule an in-home inspection with the fire marshal. Planning staff finds that the Planning and Zoning Commission has the authority to hear this application. The commission has the authority to approve the application with or without conditions. Additionally, planning staff notes that all public notice requirements were met. Planning staff further set forth the portions of the Idaho State Code and Middleton City Code to be considered. So if the commission is inclined to approve the application, then planning staff recommends that the following conditions be applied. All requirements of the Middleton Rural Fire District are to be completed and approved. All requirements of local, state, and federal agencies are to be completed and approved. If the commission is inclined to deny the application, then you should stay on the record why. So the problem here tonight is that if you don't know whether they can have 2 children or 13 children, you can't make decisions on driving and pickup and whether there's room to play. There's just so many things you just can't even begin to make decisions upon. And actually, I'll just say that I would recommend denying it, actually. They need to start over. They need to do their homework. They've already been tabled once, which is generous, and come back with enough information so that you can make an educated decision.
Okay. All right, commission, any questions for staff?
So maybe you mentioned already, the zoning of this is R3,
Yes.
okay?
And silly question, but just curious, is state licensing contingent on approval for special use?
No.
Okay.
Well, no, not state licensing. They have their rules on daycares is like this thick.
Mm-hmm.
I started to look at it and I'm so glad the fire marshal gets in there and the state gets in there. The city just can't get involved in all that. It's big,
Right.
big stuff. We would make, if say you did approve them tonight, your condition would be that they comply with the state, and then you have to leave it to the state.
Yeah.
So we don't know if we were to approve this tonight with some conditions. How do we know the conditions are met? Like, what's the next step after we apply this? Do they have to come back and prove the conditions were met before, like, a permit's issued, or what's the step to prove the conditions were
I
met?
think it might depend on the conditions, but we could ask for proof of anything. You know, that prove to us that you did get DEQ approval, prove to us that the fire marshal did inspect.
And we can like set a time limit on that, like we need proof within 30 days, 45 days, whatever is reasonable.
Yes.
Okay. I also think your square footage is off. I think it's 3,600.
That was the
Which
square
is
footage that,
significantly different than 55.
that's what they
It's a
gave.
pretty big home.
I asked
That-
all those questions and it came in an email and I just put down what they said.
That's huge for that neighborhood.
Yeah, I think we could look up the address probably in, like in a real estate listing, and I think it's 3,600 feet. And we don't know how many of the square feet would be dedicated to the child care.
We do not know any of those
Okay.
facts.
That's
Fire marshal
something fire
would
marshal would
have
come
done
in.
that.
Okay, okay. All right, so we hear from the applicant now?
Yes.
Okay, is our applicant would like to step up?
Would you just like her to stand?
She needs to come up to the microphone.
I think she needs an interpreter, so it'd be both.
Are you here to interpret for her? Okay, both of you come up then. Yeah, we'll have you talk into the microphone as the interpreter, and then she can talk to you. Okay, so we need name and address for the record.
My name is Flora Bonanet, my address is 105 East Rose Drive.
Okay, and then can you give us your name and address as the interpreter?
My name is Laura Thompson, and I have a new address that I haven't memorized.
Okay. Okay, so go ahead and tell us about your project that we have here to see before us.
Waambie kuhusu hii project yako ambayo kuna leo au mpango yako kuhusiana ya kujikinga.
Mipango yangu ya kufikia, napenda kufanya kila siku ya kusaidia maisha yangu na kuendeleza kazi yangu kibusiness yangu.
Can you really quickly pull the microphone down closer to your mouth and speak into it, so we've got to make sure we can hear you.
Close to my mouth?
Yes.
Okay. Can you guys hear me? Okay, thank you. So, she said, this is my business that I've been doing for over 5 years now. I started it in Boise, and I was doing a city license, and I've been wanting to help mostly the African community because I've seen that they need most help, or at least from my perspective of the ones that I've seen, and I would really appreciate if you guys approve or if you guys have any questions for me.
Okay. I have a couple of questions I'll start off with first. So, the application says that she's going to be doing the transport of the children. What does that mean?
Nimesema kwamba kwenye hii makaratasi utakuwa unapeleka watoto, unawatoa kwao, unapeleka nafasi nyingine. Unamaanisha nini?
Inamaanisha watoto wanatoka kwao kama unapeleka kwa mchezo, tunaona kipaki kwa mchezo, kisha baadaye na kisha.
So, my meaning to that was, I would, most of the time, for most African parents, I would go and pick up their kids from their home, and then I would bring them back after it's time for their parents, when their parents come to them.
So there wouldn't be lots of traffic down the road into her house because she'd be doing all of the driving, is what that means.
Could I also answer to that? So I'm her daughter.
Sure, sure,
But I used to live there, but I don't live at
Sure.
her house. So the most reason why she didn't want, or she preferred her picking up the kids was because she didn't want a lot of cars parking by the neighborhood, because we know that some neighbors don't appreciate that, which is okay, they have the right for that. So she prefers going to picking up the kids and taking them back home, so it's only her 12-passenger van that she had that would do that. But she only have one, I only have one Middleton parent that usually drop her son off, that she's the only person that does that out of all the parents that she has.
okay. And then, since she's been doing this for a while, then I assume that we know what the state allows as far as children to provider ratio. 13 seems a little bit high when you're talking newborn to age 13 or whatever. I'm just thinking back to when my kids were in daycare, and it was always like 4 babies to one person and 8 of age 2 and 4, and you know, like there's a gradual, like the younger, the less ratio. So
Yeah, so she have thought of that since she was doing the city license or the ICCP that she get paid through health and welfare. It was not required for her to have workers there if she needs to. And she didn't have a lot of kids, I think she only have 3, but now she only have 1. So, now that she's planning to do the state licensing, she's planning to have 2 of my siblings. One is 17, the other one is 20. They're gonna be working under her. But after she get a license, she's not planning to have them hired. She doesn't have a license yet.
okay, so that's where she's coming up with the 13
Mm-hmm.
kids. Okay.
Yes.
I think that was all I had. Anybody else have questions?
I did look up, it's 3,606 square feet,
3606?
according to the county record.
Okay.
And that would include garage space as well. So that would include garage space as well.
Okay.
So,
It's 0.15 of an acre, so it's a pretty small lot.
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Commissioner Watkins, you had a question?
yes, so have you obtained state licensing as of yet?
No.
No? Okay. So I've just been doing a little homework on state licensing, and obviously this is contingent on you guys, but just according to state board, basically even 0 to 7 children, if you're looking at if they're not yours or relatives, you are required a license. And then going up, anybody that works as a care provider needs to be at least 18 years old. That's just basically pulling off of that. So this is just stuff I'm just pulling off online. I mean, I want to see you guys succeed, but at the same time, my concerns are, you know, I have a hard time pushing for approval without having, you know, knowing where we need to hit to get this, because there's, I mean, have we like looked into insurance options and stuff on that yet, liability and?
Yeah, so we do have a liability and insurance for the house.
Okay.
What we were gonna look into, which I thought most of my siblings were helping my mom with this,
Sure.
about the fire inspection, which is one of the things that we definitely, we can't go any further unless we get that done.
Surely.
So, and also, about what you said about the 16 for, on IDAPA, I think one time I went to look on it, it had from 16 and above, who
Okay.
can work in a childcare center.
Okay.
If-
Yeah, and I very well could be mistaken. This is just I'm pulling off the Idaho Stars from the Department of Health and Welfare. But, you know, I would definitely encourage you to cross your T's and dot your I's. That's all I had, was just about state licensing, and then I know one thing that was brought on that with being in the subdivision, they're using the subdivision park as potential. Have you discussed it with your HOA and got HOA approval on that? Where it is a subdivision public space?
Well, we called the meeting for the neighborhood to see if anyone had any comment on that, or if anyone wanted to us to, if anyone had any suggestions, or if they didn't want that to be happening, but nobody showed up. So we're not sure.
Yeah, along that line, the CCNR, whether people show up or not. By the way, I'll tell you, I'm really proud of you guys for wanting to get, a business and producing income for yourselves, and I think that's really awesome. So I myself am not trying to stand in the way. But it is, like the Commissioner said, it's important to have all of the T's crossed and the I's, dotted, and that's what we're doing here tonight, okay? But the CCNRs are a document that regulates how people can operate. So the park across the street from you or near you, it's a community park,
Yeah.
meaning it's a park owned by your HOA and your community, correct? Do you know of any restrictions in the CCNRs for the use of that for non-resident people?
I don't have any restrictions on
Okay,
that. I
okay.
mean,
Because insurance comes into play, all those things that your HOA pays for, insurance if there's injury, all needs to be considered and covered. You wouldn't want to have somebody accidentally be injured and find it's not covered under their insurance. So it would behoove you to make sure that you're covered for insurance through the HOA. Do you know if there are other such special use permits in this area or in the subdivision that they're in?
For daycare,
Mhm.
none other that I know of. There might be some out there from years gone by, but
That would make it a little easier if there were. So I'm curious, and am I right or wrong, if you have a 13 in addition to your own children, if you went down to 12, you wouldn't need a special use permit. Is that right?
no, I think you also need one for between 7 and 13, but I can look really quickly.
If I read the table correctly, and I may not have. My point is there any special reason for 13? Because you've got, 4 of your own children that are there? So that'd be 17 children in the room at one time, or in the home at one time. That's a lot of kids for a house that size.
yeah.
So, is there something special about the number 13?
No, it's just a bigger license than the one that she has, which is for 6 children. And most of the time, it's not that she's anticipating to have 10 children, because most of the time nowadays, daycare's everywhere and everyone has it. So, but I think she just wanted to have something that's bigger than 6, in case she has more kids that could come in, so then she would know that I have a license for this, instead of me just declining kids.
Okay. And just clarify in my mind, so picking up the kids, to me, that's picking up 13 kids. Wow, and they're all different locations, and you'd probably have to have
She
somebody.
never had to.
You'd never had to?
No, she never had to. Yeah, she only had up to 6 kids.
Yeah, because that's a lot of, unless they're all in the same place where you're picking them up, that's a lot of driving. So, but if she knows that she has a process to do that, I can see why she is. So, anyway, Roberta, on at what point triggers a special use permit?
You know what, I'm gonna have to get out of, I'm having trouble getting into the code, but
Well, I
Looks like
just looked
it's
at the link
6.
you had.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah,
like
it
it's
looks to me-
7.
Yeah.
It looks like 7, you still need a special use permit.
I'm in the city account and I just can't get to the code. It's very strange.
Well, where are you seeing that?
But you're seeing it as 7?
Well, the little
It says
table,
7
so go back to
or
that
more.
table you snipped in and right below.
Oh, it was right there, isn't it?
Yeah, right below
I
the
forgot
facility
about
7
that.
or more, it says 6 or fewer. And then it says NA, which
7
would
or
be
more.
allowed, right?
So
It's
it's-
still an S, yes.
So 7,
So-
7 you require a special use permit.
So,
Yep,
so
7's
it's,
trigger.
so she could do 6 or fewer with no,
She wouldn't have to come
But
to
that's
you
what
for
she's
approval.
doing, that's
Okay.
what she's doing right now.
yeah.
Yeah,
I got a question too, is that 6 or fewer normal clients, or is that 6 or fewer in the house at one time?
I
Meaning, I
think
guess
it's,
this group of kids on one day and this group of kids on another
I
day.
think it's,
It's
like
gotta
if
be
somebody
6 at
were,
one-
if somebody were to show up and do an inspection, she would have to
6 at
have
one time.
6 or less
Yeah,
there at that moment.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think that's really all I've got in addition to those.
Anybody else?
I would like to see some clarification from HOA on it. I mean, I'm all for daycare centers and stuff, but I've seen, there's signs around that area that say, this is for homeowners only.
Yeah, so I think as
So-
far as that goes, like, that's not part of the city code, so we can't base our decision
Right,
off of
but,
what the HOA would or would not do or allow.
right,
But it would definitely be a recommendation that we, make sure that they,
but the HOA is fine, okay with
that,
it.
that they themselves take care of that piece of it. But that can't be part of what we make our decision off of.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything?
I don't know that I have any more questions for the applicant.
Okay. All right, thank you. We will, we're gonna hear from the public if anybody signed up for that, and then give you an opportunity to come back if there's anything that needs clarified. Okay, so we're gonna open the public comment section at 6:07. And Mike Grafe, you're the only one that signed up for this.
Well, these other two ladies did, but they're too afraid of you guys to come up and talk.
Oh, yeah, I would be too.
Mike Gray, 1589 Ridgeway. I don't know, cart before the horse, signing something in the blind. Roberta indicated that she would probably recommend denial, and I don't see how you guys can do anything but denial. Some of the questions I would add, if she's capable of having 13 people or 13 kids, and she's got 13 kids, it sounded like she's the only one working there. How is one person gonna pick up 13 kids and, babies and so forth, in car seats and all the rest of that? This sounds like a real problem just waiting to happen. I'm not against daycares, I mean, we used to use daycare ourselves, but 100 years ago. But anyway, there's just too many ifs, ands, or buts, and we establish rules and processes in the city that when you apply for something, you got this, and this. It's a regular checkoff list that you have to do. And it doesn't sound to me like any of that has been done. Denial to me is the only thing you guys can do. And not make them, I'm not putting it that way, but if they have to start over, they have to start over. Anyway, that's kind of the way I see it. The kids are number one. I'm not gonna bring that one up, but it just, deny. That's under the circumstance the way it is.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
And nobody else? Okay, we will close public comment at 6:10. Did the applicants have anything that they wanted to add to that? Yeah, you're welcome to go and say one last thing to rebut the comment that we had.
So I was gonna clarify that when a person have a license of 13 kids, they still can't have all 13 kids in the home, including their own who are underage. So if she have 13 kids for a license for 13 kids, she will still have to have at least maybe 3 or 4 kids in the home. So her kids would come at different times. They all don't come at the same time because she's not allowed to have more than the amount that she's allowed to have, all at once in the house,
Including your own.
including her own.
So like if she had 3 kids of her own and her license was for 10, she could only have 7
In the house.
kids that were part of the daycare because she has 3 of her own.
Yes, so most of the time she had them come at different time. Like some of them would come in the morning, then those when they go to school or they would get dropped off, and then the second group would come. They all come at different times. She can have all of them at once in the house with her own kids.
Okay.
So is there any restriction in the licensure about the number of care people relevant to the number of people in the home?
Yes.
So if you have 13 kids in the home at a time, how many adult or care providers should there be according to the?
So for her Idaho Star, which is where I work at, which is what she's doing with, she can have, we have it on a provider agreement, for the ICCP provider agreement that they have to sign before giving them or certifying them. And they can only have, if they have any kids that are under the age of 13 and down, they can have, I don't know the exact words that they use, but we have the numbers. We told them that if the license is for 6 and you have 4 kids that are under the age of 13, you can't have more than, you would have to put the number of the kids in the house that would all have to fit the 6 kids.
So, but what about the care providers that are there at one time? How many, did I misunderstand
She
you?
can have as much care providers as she needs who are working for her, as long as they have a background check provider.
I think she's saying 1 and 6.
Okay,
1 adult
okay.
to 6 kids.
Okay.
I think that's what she's saying.
so if you have 12 kids there, you need 2 adult providers,
Mhm.
is that correct?
I think, yeah.
And so do you have a provision to have that, herself and another care provider there during those times?
Mhm.
An employee or,
She was saying she was gonna employ her kids,
okay.
her 17-year-old,
I-
Her 18-year-old.
18-year-old and
Mhm.
15-year-old.
Okay, I missed that, I'm sorry.
Yes, she just didn't have them employed because for the license that she had for 6 kids, she didn't need them. But now she knows if she have a state licensing, she can do it on her own. She needs to have an employee.
Can I ask also, maybe I should have asked this earlier and stopped me, Chair, but the fire marshal has been trying to get an appointment. Can you tell us why that hasn't happened?
So that I do not know.
Is it a language barrier maybe, or?
I'm thinking so, but my dad was helping her doing it, so I'm thinking maybe he wasn't telling her what was going on, but I told her that I'll get into it and just make sure she finishes it off. So I'm not sure if they did why.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay. Commission deliberation?
Yeah,
Okay.
sounds good.
Commission, conversation, questions, comments, not questions, no
For
more
me?
questions, just comments. We don't want questions, because then we have to redo everything, just only comments.
I feel, like I said earlier, I'm all for somebody starting a business and wanting to do things to better their situations, and I'm all for it. But as Commissioner Trimble said, and for our own protection, what is being said by the public comments, it's for their own protection that we have everything done according to the rules. And I'm not satisfied that we have completed all of the steps necessary to begin this this business and have it done correctly. But I wonder if we have an opportunity to do a denial or just do 30-day extension.
I think we need
And
to, I
I
think
know
we
you
need to
explained that
deny
in the
it.
beginning, but it's a denial, but can it be 30
So-
days? And if they don't perform, then it goes into a start over.
That is an
Process.
option. You can actually, at this point, it would be a continuance, not a tabling, it would be a continuance of this hearing for 30 days if you want to give them a chance to finish and come back. And then we wouldn't need to do a notice. But if you just think they're just not baked enough here, you can just deny outright and they have to start over.
Okay,
But a continuance might be a good option too.
With that said, I don't think that there's anything that cannot be done, whether they choose to or not, is another thing. So in other words, the obstacles that I see are not insurmountable. And from what I see, again, I see that it's a possibility, but it just needs to have the steps taken to get it done. That's my thought.
Just have a question. I too appreciate what they're trying to do, I really do. Okay, so a denial tells them that to start over, correct? Start over with everything. So what is starting over with everything entail? So everything's already written up. I mean, how much extra work is that gonna be for them?
It would actually be costly. They would have to pay the application fee again, $550 I
Okay.
think. And then get their stuff together so that we could move through the process.
Okay,
So but a continuance would take care of it
Yeah.
also, without them having to pay that extra.
okay, that answered my question. That clarifies to me what I would like to do.
okay, anybody else comments?
I'm inclined to agree with Commissioner Christensen. I think continuance is a good opportunity. I think there's a lot of legwork that needs to be done. But I mean, I think as opposed to putting them through the cost to do it again, I think a continuance is a fair obligation, give them one last shot. But I would like to see with that continuance, I would like to see not only the fire inspection, but also the state licensing. I've just been doing a little homework myself on here. It looks like through the STAR system, there's a point system rather than, hey, it's this many kids per this, you get points per child, 2 points under 2 and under, this and this. I'd like to have a breakdown of that, and I'd also like to see I'd like to see the state licensing and the insurance stuff, because that's my concern. It's coming up, especially the liability, because you can have homeowner liability, that's not going to cover the business. We all know that up here as business owners and stuff. So I want to see the state licensing being made before we agree to anything, because, like as Roberta said, that if they're needing that's way beyond us. But that way, if that's taken care of and that's being done, then we know we're issuing something that's a fair deal.
Okay,
I agree with Commissioner Watkins. I'd also like to see them have something from the HOA. And I'm a little surprised if it's a $500 fee to get this far, why they're not a little further along.
And so when you say something from the HOA, you would just want a letter that would say they have permission to use our park?
Or that
Correct.
they'd maybe
They're insured,
acknowledge
or
the
it
fact
comes
that
under their
they're aware of
insurance.
it, maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Roberta, I do have a question for you. I think you touched on this, and I just thought of it, but the special use permit, we're not approving that forever, right? It's like,
It is
does
forever.
it attach to the home, or does it attach to the owner?
It attaches actually to the parcel only. You can't transfer it elsewhere. And it attaches only to this owner of that parcel, so
Okay.
long as that owner's there. So when
Okay.
they move, it goes away. But if they stayed there forever, then,
Yeah,
But you can limit it though too, if you wanted to for some reason.
okay,
The time, I mean.
okay. Okay, so, any other discussions, or are we ready for a motion? Okay, I'll take a motion.
So it's a motion for continuance.
Right.
Okay.
I'd like to, the language prior to the word continuance, are we using a particular number or just reference the special use permit application by
Faraha,
Faraha
Bonani, or,
Bonani for daycare 105
Sorry.
East Rose. Sorry if we're not pronouncing your name correctly. 105 East Rose Lake Drive in Middleton. I believe we should continue
So a motion
the
for
application,
continuance.
asking for a continuance with the stipulations that we assure that the fire marshal has approved, that we have a comment from the HOA regarding the use of the park. I'm not exactly, the use of the park, that's approved by the HOA. And that we, what was it you said?
State license.
State license, evidence of the state license being approved for the operation they're proposing.
insurance.
When I was referring to insurance, for me, I was referring to insurance for the use of the day park area. I know from my, if you have people on that aren't part of the neighborhood, there's fine lines or fuzzy lines with insurance for them if they're hurt.
And also please note in your motion that it would be continued to May 8th.
Okay. So continue to May 8th, 2023. You want me to try that again, or is that?
So we have a motion for a continuance of the public hearing for the application by Firaha A. Bonane for the special use permit for the licensed daycare at 105 East Rose Lake Drive with the stipulations to get comment from the HOA regarding the use of the park.
I would say a letter.
Okay, a letter from the HOA to approve use of the park, that they complete their fire inspection,
Yes.
and they complete their state licensing inspection or whatever's applicable for that. Does that work?
That works.
And do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, so we've got a motion from Chris Jansen and a second from Watkins. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none. So the motion to continue, for continuance to May 8th, 2023.
Yep.
Stands, whatever.
Passed.
Okay, passed, okay. So motion to continue passed for 30 days, right? Or to the next meeting?
To May 8th.
To the next
May 8th.
meeting. Okay.
Regular meeting.
Okay, so I close that public hearing at 6:24 p.m. And now we will move into the public comment section at 6:24 p.m. We'll open it for public comments.
Is there a PC budget?
Mike Gray.
Mike Gray, 1589 Ridgeway. Just a quick question. Whatever happened to the meat processing project that was going in front of the Charter School? Right
The
along
which?
Highway 44.
The which one?
The meat
Meat
processing
processing.
plant. We approved like the design, we did the design approval 6-ish months ago.
Yeah, I know it's been a long time. Is there a status on that, or?
We just learned about that actually late last week. The meat processing company has sold out to another company. And they, I guess they've been here for many, many years, decades. So, and the new company does not want to come here to Middleton.
So that's done.
It's done.
Okay. Answered my question.
Thank you, Mike.
Here's your chance.
Yeah, come on up. You gotta come sign my form though.
Oh, I signed the phone. I already did.
Oh, you signed the wrong one.
You signed the wrong
Come sign this one and then you can.
Okay, we showed up on the wrong day. We're trying to find out what's going on with Hartley.
Oh, come sign up. Name,
Sorry, apparently
address.
that was like in February. We were you just pulled up the email?
Yeah, so.
I don't wanna take everybody's time here, I mean, I could talk about this. Is there an email to be sent or something?
This is what it's for.
Yep,
Okay.
and put your name and the lobby stuff to the podium. We may or may not have an answer for you.
I don't even have specific questions, I'm just like,
We'll let you ask your question on the podium.
okay.
Okay, up there, name and address for the record, you'll have three minutes to ask your question.
Oh my God. Okay, Kenny Gregory, what else do you want to know?
Address.
Address 24647 Regal Road, Middleton. My question, I just wanted to know what was going on and going to be developed or placed over, was it Hartley?
In 44?
Yeah.
There's a light going in there.
Okay, but, wasn't there like business development, something going on? I don't know if it's commercial.
Yep, right next to the Tractor Supply. We did approve the design for that. It's just,
Takes time.
yeah, it just takes time.
It's just shop space, we don't know what's going on. It's just-
Businesses and.
Mostly medical, but it could have a drive-through, like a Dutch Bros or something like
So
that.
nothing's
Most-
designated yet, they're just putting in infrastructure.
Yeah, so it's just like a little shopping, like a little, like 8, 10 little businesses, little, really cute, modern. My orthodontist is the one developing it, so,
Yep, yep, yep.
yeah.
There's
When are we gonna
also,
start having applications and approvals for like some good restaurants?
Have you
She
signed?
said bring it to us.
Just wondering.
Have you signed the petition?
get them going, let's go. We
Yeah.
want
Just
that.
wondering, is
It's
anybody
good
bringing up
commercial.
any good?
Just,
like-
I
Well-
think they have to want to come here and they have to, like,
I heard they're not wanting to come because this is a dry, do we call it that? What do we
Kinda.
call it?
Semi-dry,
Semi-dry, okay.
Yes.
Is that why?
We're
yes.
just wine snobs here, no hard liquor.
Whoa, whoa,
You
whoa.
think that's why?
yeah, we
So-
have no idea.
Applebee's
You
and
know-
hotels and those restaurants can't, they want to serve hard liquor, so they will not come here.
Well, I don't want those here anyways, so that's okay. But,
So,
Existing
an editorial statement, just my own thoughts, is any community is gonna need, you call it industrial, commercial, whatever you want, McDonald's or, stores, whatever. To have those come, you have to give them a place to build and put their stores. Then you need rooftops, you need people that are gonna frequent. I don't know if you're a business owner, but if you are, you know that you want to make an income. And to do that, you have to have people walking through the door. And generally, you need to have a populace sufficient to support that. So it's all a part of the process. And so to your point in that area, the one you just spoke of, it's across the street from the tire next door to the farm supply. Across the street and to the south of that, there are facilities going in right on that corner, next to the charter school. And across and down from the charter school, we've just approved what is called a flex, well, we have approved it, I don't know.
Yeah,
city
it goes to
council.
city council.
I believe city council approved it too, it's called flex space.
Yeah.
It is a series of buildings that are basically shells with a nice facade, parking, where businesses can come in and locate themselves in that area.
okay.
It's called a
So-
square.
We've got the river walk
The
that's
river
going
walk.
in, that's gonna be, so it's coming.
The
Let's just
Riverwalk
be
down,
patient.
down south by the river has a swim park, you swim right in the Boise River. Housing developments along with commercial, right along Middleton Road. And then across the street, there's gonna be a mix of different businesses and residential, so.
That sounds great.
Yeah, it's
Takes
coming,
time.
it just takes a little time.
Takes
I'll just
time.
commute until then.
Yeah, so, we definitely
Can you
want
tell
that
them,
kind of stuff.
where do you
to
go?
come in.
Caldwell, Star?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, my biggest thing, my only real complaint is I like to go to the co-op. And so I just like, that's like 40 minutes to.
Well, at least it's in Meridian now, it used to be downtown Boise, so
Yeah.
at least you don't have to go that
So
far.
Okay, but that's it. I mean,
Yeah,
I like it being small, quaint. I don't want to go to Jack in the Box, but at least something's coming in for some people that might.
So what is the co-op?
it's just like a
It's
trader
just-
joe's. It's just a local like
Oh,
trader
okay.
joe's.
Oh.
It's a good store.
Yeah,
Very good.
all right,
Okay.
thank you for your
Thank you.
comments. Anybody else? All right, then we will close our public comments for this evening at 6:30 PM. And commission, anybody have anything to discuss?
Not as a commission, but I am curious, what part of Africa are you from?
So my parents were born in Congo, but they moved a lot. So they had my sister in Congo, and then they moved to Tanzania, where they born me. And then they moved to Mozambique, where they had 2 more kids. And then they moved to South Africa, where they had 2 more kids.
I ask because we have several students in our university are from Zambia, Zimbabwe, Madagascar, Botswana, a couple that are way out in Botswana, pretty much South Africa.
Yeah.
About 30 students down there, so gotten to know the culture through them.
Which university?
It's an online program. So, anyway, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any other commission comments?
We'll see you next 30 days.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, so I just have one really quick comment. I did mention it last time that we want to kind of streamline things and get things a little bit more procedural. Commissioner Christiansen and I did go to the Candy County Planning and Zoning. We really recommend going. It was fantastic. They do things very procedural, very by the book. It was great to see kind of like another process, right? That's a little bit more maybe by statute than what we're used to here. So I'd recommend going 2 by 2, no more than that. But it was very, very beneficial. So we are actually gonna they're gonna send us over like their scripts of what they use, so we can kind of tweak it a little bit, run it by our city attorney, and maybe start using some of those more procedural type scripts to make this a little bit more formal and, according to Idaho open meeting laws. So that was my only comment. Staff comments?
Nope.
None?
Oh, it's gonna be, I think, a little light through the summer. There are, the subdivisions that I'm working with right now are very, are large and they're time consuming. There's not many of them. So the pace is slowing down of bringing subdivisions forward. So there may be a hearing or 2 in the next few months where there's nothing.
And we still hold the hearing?
No, I'll probably let you know, there's no need to come.
Okay.
Okay. Can we get more than a couple of days advance on that? If we're not gonna need it here?
You know what, I guess I could post the agenda. We'll do that. If there's just
Just-
nothing, I'll post it extra early so you,
I travel a lot, I'm always gotta check whether we're meeting here or not, so.
I'll do
That
that.
would be helpful.
remind me, so if we have nothing,
Yeah.
we'll just get it out early and just be done with it.
And I'll shoot out an email too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so if we have